you.
All for you. Freedom.
Keep your ear to the ground.
Talking about the freedom.
It's the best show in town.
Let's show me that freedom. Well. Everybody, young, old, all you lovers, this is our time to rise back from the sand and claim our freedom. Talking about the freedom, let yourself be free.
I give you freedom. Yes, it's right.
Welcome to Sojourn Grace Collective Virtual Church, everybody. My name's Colby. This is Kate. We're the co-pastors of this community of tomfoolery here in San
That
Diego.
is what we are, isn't it?
Yeah.
A new person said first time here, and I was like, oh,
Welcome, Cameron.
hold on,
It's so
Cameron.
good. It's so good to have
You're
you.
in for a treat.
We take what we do very seriously. We don't take ourselves all that seriously.
Oh, I like that. That should
That's
be
what
like.
every band says on their website when they're
okay.
first starting out.
I don't like that. Then.
Wow.
They do?
Every indie band is like, we take what we do seriously. We don't take ourselves very
I'm pretty sure I came up with that. So.
I thought it was a really sweet.
Oh,
description.
Shane says the crackle's present. I thought I could avoid it, Shane. Let me know if
But
it's
you
still
know how to
there. I
fix
just
it?
well, I think I know how to kind of do it. So,
Decrackled.
anyway, yes. Great seatbelt fastened, Cameron says. Good.
Okay, he's gonna be fine. If that's
Yeah.
his response to what we're saying right now, it's gonna be fine.
Oh, the Nottinghams are. I call you the Nottinghams, even though I keep remembering you are.
Colb's
live.
lovely nickname for y'all.
Yes, the Nottinghams.
Seems fixed. Okay, cool.
can call
Thank
us
you for letting us know.
Californians.
Oh, maybe that's just late to the.
Yeah,
There's like a sing
unclear.
six and then a little bit of cracking.
Well, what are we gonna do today, man?
Same thing we do every day, Pinky. They're talking about their shiny heads and hair behind us.
It looks like you just haven't bleached, like, line down the middle. I think it's pretty cool.
Today is Sunday, June 27th. It's the last Sunday in Pride.
We're gonna celebrate
National.
Pride. We've been reading a different Pride children's book every week.
Static is back and fat.
It's back and loud, static alert.
Fucking wow, shoot.
How about now? The thing I've only ever done to fix it, you're saying didn't fix it. So it's getting worse. Well, these are delayed, so you're 16 seconds behind us. So now I'm hoping.
Worse. It's getting worse. Oh no, oh no.
Alexa
been
says
good?
good.
Good.
Yay.
Gone for now.
For now.
See, Cameron's already in it. This is what we rely on. Rely on instant feedback from the community because
Really staticky. Back. Oh my gosh. Back and forth.
this is a new experience.
This is a new experience.
Sorry, loves. We try to,
But now they could hear you if you were making sound.
I know. That's why it's funny.
Yeah, can you give me headphones?
Let us know again. Yeah? What do you think, babe?
Yeah, I mean it might be. I'm gonna try to.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're gonna try to do some other
Yeah,
stuff?
I'm gonna try to get.
Okay. I mean, those of you who have the patience in you and really want to be at church today, hang with us. I swear we have good stuff coming.
It's fine now.
It's working now. Okay.
Okay.
We should do the Macarena again.
Colb's got his fancy headphones on and he's checking things out, so. Yes, you should. Oops, try to get.
Wow.
Was it one round?
You like how I know all the words to Macarena?
Okay.
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
So that happened.
We're gonna start from the top. Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Sojourn Grace Collective. My name's Colby. This is Kate. We are the co-pastors here,
World's longest cold open.
and
Are
we're
you
glad
listening?
we're glad that you're with us here at our little progressive Christian community here in San Diego, where we foster
You're
wholeness,
such a good
social,
faker.
spiritual, and emotional wholeness.
I'm just sitting here
wholeness.
laughing and you're just acting like nothing ever happened.
We do publish the lyrics to the songs for the band's going to be playing this morning at sojourngrace.com/virtual, so you can go check those out. And then we're going to continue our series, It All Belongs, which we've been working through a couple weeks. And
We're going to celebrate Pride,
celebrate Pride.
and just keep being us.
yeah. And then you had something you wanted to bring in from last week?
Sojourners, that was
Sojourners.
hard for me to say this morning, are going to serve communion, so that'll be fun. Y'all will get to be I like the serving communion, even though you can't
It's true.
actually give it through the. Yes, I did want to talk about last week really quick. Hopefully y'all are here by now because this was the longest cold open ever, so I guess that helped get to this. Yeah, I did just want to quickly address last week because I don't like when people say I owe. I said that recently and was like, I don't like that. I don't owe anybody an apology. I want to apologize. A desire to apologize. Last week we were taking communion and we had these gorgeous, amazing brownies from Susan. And that is just what they should have been called, gorgeous, amazing brownies from Susan. But I referenced the recipe maker's name for them and referenced it multiple times and laughed about it. And if you weren't there or you don't remember, I'm not going to repeat the word that they are called, but I did last week. And I want to apologize for that because it's a word that actually has been used to demean and harm for years, and it hasn't been reclaimed for good. And we do that work at Sojourn of reclaiming words for good that have been used for harm, but that hasn't been done with this word, and it's not going to be, I don't think, and that wasn't what was happening. It was used flippantly and in a way that can and did trigger and cause harm, and I don't like that, and it's very hypocritical of me because I get preachy about that kind of thing all the time and don't like it. So I just want to say sorry for doing that and that I wasn't careful with my words. I like being full of care with my words, and I wasn't last week. So I love you, and I'm sorry if anyone else had that experience of, ooh, she just said that word during communion with our families. So I love you.
Love you. Welcome to Sojo. Sorry, friends. We also are having sound issues with the band. Hang in there. Real tight.
Sorry, that was muted.
All right, hang in there, friends. We're gonna solve the band sound issue.
Did you turn the other mic on?
The other mic's on, so
Oh,
they can
great.
at least hear us shouting.
Sorry, we're working
Okay,
on
yeah,
it. That looks like it's running through now.
I can't wait to not be virtual.
Okay.
Know what's fun when we're live in person soon? You can always hear us when we're live. Even when we're quiet, we're loud. It's true.
Yep.
So what were you saying?
Saying that all my favorite people are broken. Oh, believe me, my heart should know. And some prayers are better left unspoken. I just want to hold you and let the rest go. Oh.
All my friends are part saint and part sinner. Yeah, we lean on each other and try to rise above. We're not afraid to admit that we're all still beginners. Yeah, we're all late bloomers when it comes to love.
Oh, my favorite people are broken. Believe me, my heart should know. Orphan believers, skeptical dreamers, step forward. You can stay right here, don't have to go. Oh, as each wound you've received, just some burdensome gift. It gets so hard to lift yourself up off the ground, but you know that the poet says we must praise the mutilated world. We're all working the graveyard shift. You might as well sing along,
Sing along,
sing along.
sing along.
'Cause all my favorite people are broken. Yeah, believe me, my heart should know. As for your tender heart, this world's gonna rip it wide open. It ain't gonna be pretty, but you're not alone, not alone. All my favorite people are broken. Well, believe me, my heart should know. All of you orphan believers, skeptical dreamers, you're welcome. Yeah, you're safe right here. You don't have to go. All my favorite people are broken. Well, believe me, I should know. Some prayers are better left unspoken. I just wanna hold you and let the rest go.
One more song.
Yeah.
Don't cry, you're mine for forever, for forever. I need you now more than ever, more than ever. If a light's in my eyes, you make it easy. Don't look away, these are the days you gotta believe me. When we're lost in the desert night, we're chasing a paradise. When we can't fight another fight, we're gonna make it. You're my away, away, oasis. You're my away, away, oasis. This life is made for each other, for each other. Cross lines, mistakes. There's no other, there's no other. Head full of light, sun in my eyes. You make it easy. Nowhere to go, I'm already home. You gotta believe me. And we're lost in a desert night, and we're chasing a paradise. When we can't fight another fight, we're gonna make it. My away, away, oasis. My away, away, oasis. My away, away, oasis. My away, away, oasis. As I roam through the wasteland, you're the one thing I need. my way wasted. We're lost in a desert night, and we're chasing a paradise. When we can't fight another fight, we're gonna make it, make it, make it, make it. Lost in a desert night, and we're chasing a paradise. When we can't fight another fight, we're gonna make it. My way wasted. My way wasted. You're my way wasted. My way wasted.
Awkward transition. Awkward transit.
It's time to go back to in person.
Just
Your favorite phrase to have an Australian say?
We've just been given the exciting update that we might be out of conversation cards. So we're going to pull one out and see if it's something we've done before. Have we done that?
I don't know.
I don't
Start
really feel
from the
like we
middle.
have. I kind of like this.
Okay.
You guys tell me if we've done this one, y'all, because I don't know. But what is something you hate but wish that you loved?
The camera doesn't really pick it up.
I know, but I like to show them so they know I'm not lying in case anyone wants to investigate later. These are your receipts. Okay? What
Auditing.
is something you hate but wish that you loved?
Something that you hate that you wish you loved?
Working out.
Working out is one. Running.
I agree. Yes. Oh, yes, running.
I love the way that people talk about running. Like they feel free, like they feel like they are just like moving through all their stuff. And I do not have that experience running.
Country music, I'm with you, Brittany.
Country music. We can help you
Oh dear.
if you want to be helped. Beer. Yeah, beer. I lived in Portland for a while and beer was a big one. Where I felt really left out because I wasn't into beer.
Oh, Kaylee, mushrooms are my favorite thing in life.
Oh, Cameron says massages.
There's
That's
a-
interesting.
there's
It
a
just doesn't
lot
feel
of-
good.
There's a lot of
Hard-boiled eggs. That's true of my dad, for sure.
laundry.
Easter
Yeah.
would have been more fun, Dad, if you were into hard-boiled eggs. It's true. Sports ball, beer, mushrooms. Did I see mushrooms? Avocado.
mushrooms there.
Oh, Stephen, how are you doing in San Diego? Are you okay?
Yeah. What's going on with that?
Do you need a hug? It's hard to be here if you don't like
Oh
avocado.
my gosh. Wesley.
Talking with people says shame.
Wesley wishes she loved battling monsters in Legends of Zelda.
Fair enough.
Wesley, you're my favorite. Kale. And another thing that doesn't play well in Portland. I like Kale. Ladies and gentlemen, Colby Martin.
So hilarious.
Oh, goodness.
People are very quick on this one.
They
Did
are.
have
Everybody
your
is ready.
answers. I don't know if
Yeah.
I have my answer for
I
this
agree
one.
with Polly on this.
Getting up early every day, especially when you don't. Oh, yeah, because it feels like it'd be really productive and nice. Yeah, but then you'd have to get up early.
I hated avocados until you moved away from San Diego. Wow. I did it the wrong way around.
How's that going
Oh
now?
my gosh. Chris, Instagram. Also, why do you wish that you loved Jello? Can you know? I mean, well, no, actually, I can see why.
Yeah.
Because it seems fun.
It's hard not to. Well, no, I'm not sad. I was going to say cheesecake because I feel like a downer about cheesecake, but
It doesn't matter. There's plenty of good cake
it's fine.
and
Yeah,
sweets in the
there's
world.
other cake. Cheap tequila. It's an affordable way to live.
Why do you wish you loved cheap tequila, Phil?
Shopping.
You're supposed to not love cheap tequila.
I like cheap tequila, but it doesn't love me back is part of the problem.
Luis, is it all forms of shopping? Like, are there tolerable forms of shopping for you? Like, is online better than in person, or just all of it? You just hate the act of commerce, handing money, and then getting goods. It's bad. Wow, you guys, everybody was really solid. Oh, Camille can't get over the texture of Jello.
Yeah, I get that.
Probably
I
because the
think-
texture of Jello is not great.
Yeah, I think my answer to this was going to be, is it boba?
Oh yeah, boba.
I love so many Asian foods and drinks, but yeah, tea with jelly balls, just not really a thing. I'm just,
Oh, Mercy says, I'd rather be vulnerable than eat fish.
Mercy's in the Matthew camp.
Yeah.
If
We
it's
try
from
really
the,
hard.
If it's not, if it's from the sea, it's not
If
for
it's
me.
from the sea, it's not for me. That is the Matthew Lovegood motto.
Let's go out for lunch, Marcy.
Oh goodness. Yeah. Okay. Luis just hates all of shopping. That's great. That's useful. I guess you save money that way. So good on you. Don't change. Stay just the way you are.
People had a lot for that question.
They really.
Yeah.
There was a geyser of feeling there that just needed to be released.
I love that band.
A geyser of feeling. A 90s
Guys are
band.
feeling.
Yeah, totally a 90s band. All right, shall we move on? You guys feel free, if you still need to process, put them in the comments.
Who or where would you haunt if you were a ghost?
I think we did this. Did we do this? Who or where would you haunt if you were a ghost? Whatever, we don't remember if we did.
a good repeat one.
Okay. Who or where would you haunt if you were a ghost?
I feel like this is a mean question.
Well, wait.
Wait.
I
don't know.
Who or what? Who or where would you
You know, the
haunt?
funniest thing is that did we watch the Invisible Man movie together?
Yeah.
See, I find that whole idea really disturbing. Just disturbing.
The church on Golgotha says Colby.
Oh, wow.
But haunting churches,
funny.
I gotta tell you, would be fun. You could have a lot of fun haunting the church.
Smart.
Haunt Disneyland, yeah.
I also love Melissa Myers, the Texas legislators. That's
The Texas
that's a
legislators.
good call.
Oh my god,
This Trump Tower.
that place is good.
You get him. Get him, Ghosty. It could be fun. Don's gonna take it to the next level. I would go deeper in why would I haunt? That's a good question. I think there's also there's the angle of you could haunt for good, right? Like you could go find a person you love and follow them around and make nice, beautiful things happen for them. Probably still cause them to have a mental breakdown of some sort. But you could. It's a thing you could do.
But Camille's answer.
Ooh, Camille.
That's hilarious.
Just the pictures. Just get in the wedding pictures. Just standing over them looking strongly displeased. Oh my gosh, that'd be so great.
Oh boy.
Random people I wouldn't want to see people I know. Interesting. Good boundaries.
I'm with Matthew Blake. On this.
You just show up in the car next to them after they do something bad on the freeway.
You really thought it was a good idea, huh?
After they've parked those, they can't pull off the freeway,
Can
in
it
a
be
mad
Flamey
panic.
that does that? Can Flamey be the one who shows up?
Like the car doors all lock.
Hey, honey.
We're about to have a
Yeah.
conversation.
We're gonna have this up.
Scare people out of toxic churches. That is using your haunt for the good.
Did y'all see Zach?
Yeah, I like
Oh,
this one.
nice.
I think that's great.
To encourage more source material and maybe inspire some. That could be fun. You could try to plant seeds and see if
That's
you can
intriguing. That gets
influence.
into the time travel conundrum for me. If you're influencing them to write something and they're your favorite author, you know,
Yeah,
does
there's
it
no
get
such
into
thing as
to a
time.
weird ethical boundary?
Time doesn't exist. Time is a lake.
Pretty sure he's already haunted by all of his insecurity,
So many.
by so many
We
things.
got a lot of political haunting going on, which is great.
Nan asked a really good deep
I
question.
think so. So I have a music box that was mine when I was a kid, but it plays the lullaby that my grandma used to sing to my mom. And that music box just decides to play for no reason, randomly. And I'm sure there's some sort of the temperature fluctuates, whatever. But it just decides to go, and I love it because I love the idea of my grandmother haunting me just enough to turn on the music box to let me know that she's around. So I think haunting could be good. I'll defend my opinion if I need to. Ready.
I think so too.
Great.
I think that's what birds are.
Birds, yeah, right. Matthew would love to be haunted. I would love to talk to a ghost. I think that would be really fun. I'm here for it. I'll do the flashlight thing. Turn on the light for yes.
All right.
Any of y'all kick it, you feel free to come back and hunt me.
You may all haunt Matthew. You've been given permission.
Bumper up you.
Bumper up. We were all trying to figure out what Colby was talking about. He's very content with no haunting. Don't haunt Colby. Haunt Matthew.
When you are tired, you are alone. When peace is a river that's distant and cold, there in the mystery, there on the wind, there like a promise is where you begin.
Water and fire, quiet my soul. Look to the mountains, be still and know all you need, all that you know is water and fire, it's heaven on.
When you are awake, you are below. When joy is a fountain, weary to flow, there on the desert,
There in the deep,
there like a sacred, dark secrets.
water and fire, quiet my soul. Look to the mountains, be still and know all you need, all that you know is water and fire, it's heaven on. Water and fire, quiet my soul. Look to the mountains, be still and know all you need, all that you know is water and fire, it's heaven on.
If love is an ocean, then all that I know is lead and I'll follow. Where you go, I'll go.
Hi, it's time for Sojo Kids Corner. Does it say that? It says that on the screen, so you know exactly what's happening. Apparently, during the month of Pride, I haven't been here, but apparently what we've been doing is reading kids' stories each week for Pride, right? That is correct. Awesome, and this week we have another one that Kate handed me this morning and said, here, this wrecked me this morning, have fun reading it. She also gave me other options, but I was like, let's do it. Let's go with the one that wrecks us. So this is beautiful little book with the holographic, oh, which finger is that? This finger. The holographic shadow, isn't that cute? It says, my shadow is pink. Let's find out why. Shall we? This is My Shadow is Pink by Scott Stewart, an Australian person. I read the bio earlier this morning. Gosh, this is difficult. Okay, there we go. My dad has a shadow that's blue as can be, and there's nothing but blue in my whole family tree. You see all of those people on the wall? Why can't I do things straight?
I think that's obvious.
But mine is quite different. It's not what you think. For mine is not blue. My shadow is pink! My shadow loves ponies and books and pink toys, princesses, fairies, and things not for boys. But there's one thing it likes most, I have found. It loves wearing dresses and dancing around. Look at that. See, like, the little kid is just standing there with their arms crossed, but the shadow is dancing. It spins and it sparkles and it twirls through the air, then stops as my dad walks in with a stare. There's Dad. It will turn blue one of these days. Don't worry, he says. It's just a phase. Dad's shadow is blue. It is big and it is strong. But when I stand with it, I just feel so wrong. I wish mine was blue like all of the others. I wish mine was blue like my dad's and my brother's. I'd be part of the group. Of that, there's no doubt. But I cannot fit in when my shadow stands out. Now things are all changing, and that is not cool. I'm ready to start my first day of school. You'll need pencils and books and a lunch you must bring. Dress up with your shadow in its favorite thing. My heart skips a beat as I put on a dress, and I look to my dad who is anxious and stressed. He takes me to class, and I turn to say bye. His face is all worried. There's fear in his eyes. You see Dad down there? So I step in the doorway and I puff out my chest. One thing is clear. I'm not like the rest. I try to say hi, but my voice is too quiet. The kids turn around and the room, it goes silent. I run out the door and I push past my dad. I run to my house feeling angry and sad. If my shadow was blue, I'd be there making friends. I'd be laughing and playing and drawing with pens. I rip off my dress and throw it down to the floor. I won't wear it again. Not ever. No more. Just then, at my door, came a soft little knock. It's my dad walking in, and I look up in shock. Both he and his shadow, in dresses they stood, with shimmering seams and pink sparkling hoods. Look at that gorgeous dress. He speaks in a voice that's quite soft but is stern. Pick up that dress. You must listen and learn. Your shadow is pink. I see now it's true. It's not just a shadow. It's your innermost you. He showed me the photos of parents and brothers and sisters and aunts and uncles and others. We all had a shadow that's hidden from eyes. Sometimes our shadow, it lives in disguise. His shadow loves painting and fashion and art. Her shadow loves engines and powerful cars. His shadow loves dance with its turns and its twirls. Her shadow, she hides it. Her shadow likes girls. His shadow loves theater and acting and plays. Her shadow loves science and planets and space. Your shadow is you, and pink it will be. So stand up with your shadow and yell, "This is me!" And some, they will love you, and some, they will not. but those that do love you will love you a lot. So put on that dress and get back to school. If someone won't like you, then they are the fool. My heart nearly burst and my shadow, it soared. I picked up the dress and I wore it once more. We ran out the door, this time holding hands. My dad and our shadows, together we stand. I stride in my class and I puff out my chest. I may be different, but different is best. I almost made it. I joined a small group, though in I don't blend. They look up and smile. Will you be our friend? Yay. Look at those people in their shadows being friends. This is hard. All right. There's our story. My shadow is pink. Happy Pride, everybody.
It's not Sunday if we're not crying.
Now we have to sing just a really light and airy, breezy song.
Sure.
Oh, dear. Some hearts are built on a floodplain, keeping one eye on the sky for rain. You work for the ground that gets washed away. When you live closer, closer to the life and the ebb and flow, closer to the edge of I don't know, closer to that's the way it goes. Some hearts are built on a floodplain, and it's easy to sigh on a high bluff. Look down and ask when you've had enough. Will you have the sense to come on up? Will you stay closer? Closer to the danger and the rolling deep, closer to the run and the losing streak. What brings us to our knees? Some hearts live here. Oh, the river it rushes to madness, and the water it spreads like sadness, and there's no high ground, and there's no high ground. Closer to the danger and the rolling deep, closer to the run and the losing streak. What brings us to our knees? Closer to the life and the ebb and flow, closer to the edge of I don't know, closer to Lord, please send a boat. Some hearts are built here.
Hi, me again. So we've had this saying, this phrase, it all belongs. We've had this around, in and around Sojo for many years now. But really, I think it's been this past year or so. It's been this past year or so during virtual church, like days today, where it's kind of risen to the forefront. And maybe that's because we have welcomed so many more folks, literally from around the world, into this community. It all belongs. Or maybe because virtual church has given us so many opportunities to celebrate when things go, quote, wrong. Whatever, it all belongs. But whatever the reasons, it truly has become a part of who we are. So for the past couple months, Kate and I have been giving these spiritual nuggets that have been trying to explore this phrase with a bit more precision. Like, what do we actually mean, and maybe what don't we mean by these three words, it all belongs? 2 weeks ago, I began working out how this phrase might fit within the context of a faith community like ours that is comprised of religious diversity. Meaning within a group of people who span the spectrum of a whole host of religious beliefs, how can they all realistically belong? Like, how does it all belong fit within this context? And for my guide through this, I've been listening to how Paul engaged with this, I think, specific issue within the churches in Rome. And we've covered over the past couple weeks how most people in these early Roman churches believed that things like dietary laws and religious festivals were relics of the past and no longer adhered to them as part of their religious expression. However, there were some among them that felt differently. Last week, which was part 2 of this kind of series within a series, I clarified the differences between core values and doubtful matters. For Paul in Rome, and then also for us here at Sojourn, there are some things that are so core to who we are and to what we do that we can't realistically say that we welcome diversity of beliefs in those areas. But for all other things, and maybe you might even say for most things, we really do try here at Sojourn to hold a big tent with space for wide diversity of religious beliefs. And one thing Paul was clear on was that both groups of people, those who abstained from meat and those who ate everything, both were equally part of the community. So at stake here was not who's in and who's out. Again, those would be more core value type issues. But rather, since everyone is in, that will inevitably lead to differences in opinion and belief. So then how do we handle that? And although he gave specific instructions to each side, if you recall from last week, to the one group he said, stop judging everyone who's different from you. And then to the other group he said, stop despising or looking down on those who are different from you. Ultimately, Paul's opinion was that those who ate everything, they shouldered the greater responsibility between these two groups. And this group he called the strong in faith, whereas those who abstained from meat and didn't drink wine, and those who believed that some days are more sacred than others, he called weak in faith. And I've been delaying talking about these two terms, weak and strong, until I had the chance to really dig into them, which is what I'd like to do together with you now. But before we go on, just as a way to reset and recalibrate, I invite you to take a deep breath in with me. And exhale. And so now, God, as I continue sharing my thoughts on this, may we always remember that my thoughts are just my thoughts, that there is no expectation that everyone who hears them believes them or accepts them as true or agrees with them. And so my prayer here is that if there is anything that I say that is good, that is true, that would be helpful for us as individuals or us collectively, then maybe that would be a thing that sort of rises to the surface, that sticks to our heart and minds. And then conversely, if there's anything I say that is untrue or would not be helpful for someone, then good gravy, just let it slip out our ears the minute I say it. Let's just forget it. One more deep breath in and out. So I've been thinking about these two terms, the weak in faith and the strong in faith. and what it is that separates these, and why Paul would have even used these terms that, to me, on their surface, have these qualitative differences, meaning kind of sounds like one is better than the other, right? Like strong is better than weak. It kind of sounds like that. And I've landed on two different ways to think about the differences between a weak type of faith and a strong one. And the first has to do with maybe two different approaches to what I'll call existential peace, which is like, am I okay? How do I know if I am or not? And then the second has to do with a progression along a spectrum of what I'll call an examined persistence, which I submit is not the most easy phrase to say, but I really liked how they both were EP. So existential peace, that's the preacher in me. What? I am who I am. Existential peace and examined persistence. So I'll start first with this idea of two different approaches to existential peace. So there's this quality of life. Jesus called it abundant life. Paul described it in terms of like fruits of the Spirit. I think even Brene Brown, when she talks about wholeheartedness, is attempting to name this quality of life. But whatever it is that we call it, we're trying to articulate a kind of reality where we are grounded in what is most real and true. And here at Sojourn, we talk about that as our truest identity as fully beloved children of God. This mode of being alive, this quality of experience, it involves a level of peace, or as our Jewish ancestors would call it, shalom, this shalom deep within. And so this is why I call it this existential peace, because it's the sense that we are, in the final manner of things, okay. It's like the disillusion of all the anxiety about death and loss and suffering. But even more than that, it's a kind of flourishing. It's living in the here and now with this mindset that trusts, as my friend Ryan Meeks puts it, that life is a gift and love is the point. And so the ones that Paul called weak in faith, they, as I see it, they clung to some old ideas of their religious tradition that this kind of peace, this type of flourishing is directly connected to believing the right things and behaving the right way. This kind of faith, comparatively speaking, I would say is smaller, it's more constrictive, and by nature it churns out a very judgmental attitude toward those who don't believe or behave in the same way. Hence Paul telling the weak in faith, don't judge others. But then by contrast, there's another kind of faith that's more open and expansive. And in this worldview, maybe our standing with God, maybe our identity as beloved children of the divine, maybe the reality of our capital B belonging is not dependent on believing the right things or following the right kinds of laws and rituals. This, for Paul, is a stronger type of faith. We open our hearts to the possibility that we are loved just as we are, regardless of the color of our shadow, entirely and completely. That there is nothing that can earn that love, and there's not a damn thing that can take it away from us either. So then why might, for instance, as in this passage in Romans 14, why might the belief that one should abstain from meat or wine, why would that be called weak? Why would that be a weak kind of faith? And I think it's because it establishes false lines of who's in and who's out, who's clean and who's unclean, entirely based upon, are you believing the right things? And do you behave the right way? And then, to add insult to injury, this sort of weak faith is often wrapped up in rather antiquated and arbitrary ideas. And we talked about that briefly at the end of last week, where I suggested that maybe a more conservative approach to life is one that believes that truth and goodness have already been figured out long ago in the past, and so now we just got to hold on to it with clenched fists. Whereas believing, as Paul did, that nothing's unclean to eat, drinking wine is not bad. Ideas like this break down this dualism of wrong and right and in and out. In other words, it's fine to eat and drink because at the very heart of it, you are fine. So this is one way I think that we could differentiate between the weak and the strong in faith, with regards to how does your faith relate to this peace at an existential level? Must you earn it or be worthy of it through right thinking and right action? Or is it a gift to be enjoyed independent of any ideas about dirty and clean, in and out, etc.? For Paul, a faith that is small, protected, extracting, dividing, exclusive. This is a weak faith, whereas a faith that is big and open, comfortable with paradox, welcoming and inclusive is strong. And then the second difference, as far as I see it, between these two types of faith has to do with how we might actually move from a weaker kind of faith to a stronger one. Reinforcing this idea that there are maybe two poles on the end of a spectrum, that it's not so much fixed categories of weak and strong, but it's like weaker and stronger. And for now, did the thing again where it disappeared me.
What is it doing?
I don't know. There's something about... I don't know. It's twice now that the Spirit of the Lord has just wanted to end me early. Okay, so anyway, not fixed categories, but maybe a spectrum. And I think moving along this spectrum, I call this examined persistence. And I hope that will make sense in a minute. So the other day, I was talking with my buddy Justin Lee. Justin's the author of Torn, one of the most well-read and well-recommended books when it comes to integrating faith and sexuality. And I asked him if he'd share his thoughts on what he sees as some of the gifts that he's noticed in his life as a result of him being gay. And he told me that his orientation actually contributed to the strengthening of his faith because it forced him to look outside his family, outside his church, and outside his religious structure in order to discover and develop a faith of his own. Because, and I know so many of you can relate, Justin's family and church did not take kindly to him coming out as gay. He found himself on the outside, looking in. And yet, like so many of you, and I know this because I know many of you and I know your stories, it was precisely because he and you were on the outside that you developed the kind of faith that you did. And Justin explicitly named this newer faith as being stronger as a result. I wouldn't be shocked if many of you feel the exact same way. So what if that's the thing that moves a person from a weak faith to a strong one? Meaning a faith where everything works for you, where the beliefs, and okay, this is getting frustrating. I'm sure I did something wrong. How about I pause this little animation right here? Okay. All right. So where was I? Okay. What if the idea, well, here's my thought. A faith where everything works for you, where the beliefs and the practices, they work as expected. That is a type of faith. Yes, 100%. But when that faith stops working for you, maybe you've exposed its limitations, experienced its smallness. Maybe the rules and the rituals and the boundary markers suddenly become restrictive and exclusive. Maybe you've left that system voluntarily or you've been unceremoniously booted from it. Should you discover a faith on the other side of that, my sense is that faith on the other side of the one that worked for you will inevitably and predictably be stronger. If for no other reason than because it's a faith that you've fashioned by you and for you, as opposed to one handed you from a family or community. This kind of faith, the one that you find on the other side of what you were given, is almost always more genuine, more authentic, and more free because you discovered it in and during the dark nights of your soul. It's almost like faith needs to be stress tested, like as though we're doctors, bankers, or engineers. Because doctors, they conduct stress tests where they hook the patient up to the machines and have them run on a treadmill. Why? Because exercise makes your heart pump harder and faster, which can then reveal where the problem areas are with your blood flow. In other words, you may not know where the problem areas are until you stress test it. Or consider the banking industry, who, since the collapse in 2008, have developed all sorts of stress testing principles that alert banks to potential areas of failure and show them where the risks are. A weak bank, that's one that's never been tested. But a strong one has endured and overcome challenges. And then furniture companies. You go to IKEA and you see those silly little machines that show you how they stress test, which I don't actually believe the IKEA ones, but the idea, they stress test their furniture to evaluate safety and durability. If a chair has never really been tested, who knows how much weight it can sustain? The strong chair is the one who's been broken, redesigned, and rebuilt with all new foundations. when something's never been tested, never been evaluated or critiqued, perhaps just because, it's just always been like this, or hey, man, it seems to be working fine for me for now, that thing is inherently weaker than the one that's faced real life tests, undergone scrutiny, and experienced the kind of death and rebirth. As a result, I believe this faith is better off for it. So if one distinction between weak and strong is how it responds to our existential peace, then the other difference I think has to do with the kind of examined persistence, meaning it's been examined, it's been tested, it's been questioned and doubted and scrutinized, and on the other side of the testing, on the other side of the breaking, there it remains, yet not as it once was. For now it has persisted through the rupture, and it is precisely this persisting through the rupture that provides the durability, the vitality of our faith. Without such testing, without such overcoming, can we ever know the true depth of peace and joy and love? I mean, one might even say, unless you are born again, you cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. So weak faith is untested. It prefers and it maintains the status quo because it still works. And we see that in our society today, don't we? People for whom things work well, and as a result, they resist growth and change or the dissolution of their old way of life. How many white identifying people are not all that motivated to rock the boat or tear down oppressive and racist systems because why? Because it's working just fine. Or how many straight identifying people lack incentive to fight for the rights of trans people or to stop states from rolling back protections of LGBTQ people? Why all this change? Things are fine. They've been fine. Strong faith, by contrast, it's the faith on the other side of the status quo. It is discovered by those who experience ways in which their faith no longer worked for them, where what we've always been taught no longer holds up, where what we've always believed suddenly seems untenable. Those moments where the God we thought existed ceases to act in accordance with any of our expectations. Moments when the very people, the very community that we trusted to model unconditional love to us instead proved just how conditional it was the whole time. There's a lot of ways this can happen, right? Where the faith we once knew stops working for us. Things that become the catalyst for the stress testing of our faith, the shifting us away from a weaker faith and towards something stronger. For example, some of you, like Justin, identify LGBTQ, and the faith you were raised in said, it's not okay here. Or maybe you're a woman who grew up being told that your place was in the home and to be quiet and subservient to men. Or maybe the status quo shatters because you're black and the police pull you over for no damn reason. Or you're Latino and the shopkeeper eyes you suspiciously. Or you're Asian yet you feel constantly like an outsider in your own country. It can happen when someone close to you dies way too soon or suffers some freak accident or is diagnosed with some terminal medical ailment. Or maybe you just grow up and you leave your home, you go to college, and a whole new world of scientific knowledge blows massive holes in your tiny, biblically informed worldview. However it might happen. And my assumption is if Sojourn is your home church, then it's happened to you at least once, if not multiple times. When our faith stops working for us, sometimes we're invited to lean in a bit further, if we so desire, and if we are able to, and discover a stronger, freer, more open kind of faith on the other side. In Jesus' day, there was this giant veil that hung in the temple, dividing the space between the common and the ordinary world with what was called the Holy of Holies. And only the high priest could ever pass through that veil into the Holy of Holies, where it was believed that God's presence dwelled. And only one time of year at that. The veil, in other words, symbolized a belief that God was not accessible to all people, that there were specific hoops to jump through and requirements to meet in order that you might ever get close to the divine. In one of the accounts of Jesus' crucifixion, witnesses said that upon Jesus' death, this veil in the temple was rent in two, top to bottom torn. As though Jesus' death took down the veil, this symbol of a weak faith, because it divided and separated. It created in-groups and out-groups. Why does that matter? Because if nothing else, the movement of Jesus was about dissolving such boundaries and showing people there is no God behind the curtain. Because God, as Paul said, is the one in whom we live and move and have our being. Strong faith knows this, or at least chooses/tries to believe it. Strong faith is grounded in our identity of beloved children of God, independent of human ideas about right beliefs and right behavior. And strong faith is made strong when the aforementioned beliefs and behaviors are stress tested. When life, through circumstance or suffering, tears the veils in two and thrusts us to the threshold where we might decide to either move forward in freedom and openness and love and trust and mercy and compassion and grace, or retreat into the safety of things like tribal mentality, shared beliefs, and special sacred rituals that have the unfortunate side effect of slicing up the world into good and bad, right and wrong, black and white, us and them, in and out. Okay, so hopefully that helps a bit with wrapping our minds around this idea that Paul articulates between those weak and strong in faith. And I mentioned it last week that I've often struggled with these terms because it just felt elitist. It felt pejorative to call his own faith strong and others among them as weak. So much of it has to do, doesn't it, with like what you've experienced in life and how you've responded to some of life's invitations and what you've found through acts of great suffering and great love. So maybe stronger isn't necessarily better than weaker. It's seen some things. It's a bit further down the road. It's just got new lenses, different lenses to see things in a different way. And these lenses were often acquired at great cost. But at this point, you might be asking, why does it matter? Why spend so much time trying to nail down the distinction between the weak and the strong ends of the spectrum of faith? Well, and this is where I think the rubber starts to meet the road a bit, and where maybe some of us might not fully love the odor of the burning rubber. Because, like I've mentioned a couple times now in this series, including at the top of this message, I suggest to you that when it comes to holding the space for religious diversity within a faith community like ours here at Sojourn, perhaps the onus falls on the shoulders of the strong. It is to the strong, after all, that Paul writes, welcome those who are weak. And when Paul writes in verse 19, so let's strive for the things that bring peace and the things that build each other up. This is not a 50-50 split between the weak and the strong. He's talking to the strong in faith. It's up to them to strive for the things that bring peace and build up the community. He tells the strong, I want you to abstain from eating meat and drinking wine if it causes your siblings in the faith to stumble. Notice he doesn't say to the weak, good gravy, get over it already. It's fine, just eat a steak. Listen to how Paul presses in upon those in the stronger end of the spectrum. Verse 15, if your brother or sister is upset by your food, you're no longer walking in love. Verse 16, don't let something that you consider to be good then be considered and criticized as wrong. And verse 20, don't destroy what God has done because of food. And in their context, if the strong in faith enjoyed their liberties, which meant in this case eating and drinking, with no mind to the impact on those among them for whom such inactivities were still viewed as wrong, Paul says they run the risk of undoing the work of God, which for me is just a shorthand way of saying undoing the unifying of this diverse community for the shared vision of a radical new way of being human. And to be clear, this isn't because the weak in faith will be offended by people eating and drinking. Paul's not like coddling their feelings. He said that earlier in the chapter, it's because they might actually then feel pressured to join in on the eating and drinking before they've grown in their consciousness to see that it's okay to do so. And we talked about this last week. Like if someone does something that they believe to be wrong, even if perhaps subjectively is maybe not wrong, it actually is indeed wrong for that person. And so this is why Paul looks to the strong in faith and says, hey, if this thing falls apart, I'm blaming you. Now, obviously, we don't have to agree with Paul. We're free to disagree. We're free to feel like his instructions are not applicable or helpful to our community. However, and this is what I outlined in the first part of this message 2 weeks ago, in this particular area of building healthy, sustainable faith communities comprised of all sorts of diversity, including different religious beliefs, I personally find Paul to be a reliable guide. And so I'm trying to really listen and sit with his take that the strong in faith, the more progressive, more open, more free ones in the community are ultimately called upon to defer their liberties and make the larger space so that the more conservative ones among them feel like they belong in the community as well. In other words, if this thing is going to work, it's because the strong in faith defer and hold space for the weak. But I said it last week, and I'll say it again now. I think there are exceptions to this. Exceptions I don't think Paul acknowledged. And this is why I only grade Paul with a B+, and maybe even a B the more I think about it, on his pastoral instructions here. Because I think some key things are missing. I understand that his opinion should be that the stronger, more progressively minded folks are the ones who should bear the weight of holding the space for the weaker ones. I'm also a firm believer that Paul was either unaware or pastorally negligent in not naming that oftentimes, hang with me here, I'm almost done, oftentimes those who move along this spectrum toward the strong end of the faith have endured significant trauma during that shift. We know now, for example, way better than they did 2,000 years ago, how it can impact people when they are shamed by their religious community. We know how it can impact people when they're ostracized by their own family. We have far greater insight into the harm done by toxic theology and untrue ideas about the nature of God and the sinfulness of humanity. So while it is true, a person does develop a much stronger faith on the other side of their stress testing, it's also true that in that context, certain words and ideas and songs, as we found in church, can trigger that trauma in ways that I think the weak in faith need to hold space for as well. And that's the thing I don't think Paul names here. And that's where I'll pick up next week, as I start to put some tangible handholds on how all of this can play out in a community like ours, striving for wholeness, yet consisting of so many diverse parts. Amen.
Awesome. Greetings, everyone. I would say good morning, but I know we have folks in all spaces of the world. So greetings to all that are here on the stream with us this morning. Beautiful message today, Colby. And as we head into communion, really thankful for the space being held for those that were asked to be strong when they needed to be weak and vice versa. So as we move into communion this morning, we'll keep that in mind and hold that space for all.
Yeah, so this is one of my, Kate's one of my favorite parts of service where we get to join together and take communion. So in this is for everybody, as Colby mentioned, no matter what religious background you come from or don't come from, your race, your creed, your ethnicity, whatever, it's welcome here. So whatever you have to eat for communion, we're going to go ahead and take this and remembering that you are loved by God, just as you are, just for being who you are. So we'll take this in acknowledgement of that you are loved and welcome. And then, so we have, I have it as a eagle here.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to also drink. He talking with my mouth full. But we're going to drink in remembrance of the bloodshed for us in love, and that we can also hold that love and that space for each other as we continue to grow. So cheers to this community. We love you guys. Take up.
Awesome. Thank
Love
you for
y'all.
having us. Love y'all.
Thanks, Chris and Camille. Can't wait to be in person with all these humans.
Here, here.
It's gonna be so fun.
So good.
I was born to laugh. I love to laugh through my tears. I was born to love. I'm gonna love to love without fear. Pour me a glass of wine, talk deep into the night. Who knows what we'll find? Intuition, deja vu, the Holy Ghost haunting you. Whatever you got, I don't mind. Put your elbows on the table. I will listen long as I am able. There is nowhere I'd rather be. The secret fears, the supernatural. Thank God for this new laughter. Thank God the joke's on me. 'Cause I was born to laugh. I learned to laugh through my tears. And I was born to love. I'm gonna learn to love without fear. We've seen the landfill rain. We've seen the junkyard of love. Baby, it's no place for you and me. I was born to laugh. I learned to laugh through my tears. And I was born to love. I'm gonna learn to love without fear. I was born
whatever you got without fight. I was born to laugh. I learned to laugh through my tears. And I was born to love. I'm gonna learn to love without fear.
Learn to love without fear. It's the goal, right? Hi.
Hi.
Missed you. Sorry at the beginning of the service. And then now you're at the end.
We've spent every second together for
I know.
the last 15 months. You do not miss me. Do we have house notes?
You absolutely do that.
House notes. I don't know what order you put them in, but can I talk about today?
Yeah, you want to talk about today
Yeah,
first?
Yeah.
Skip to that. Park.
Hey, really soon now, in a few hours, 3 p.m. here, we're going to be in Old Town. It's one of our family's favorite places to hang out, so we thought it'd be a good one for church. It is an accessible area. There is lots of parking. Sometimes it can be hard on the weekend at Old Town, but you just keep driving around to find something. There's lots of little free parking lots and street parking. And we're going to be in that center plaza area with the cannon and the trees.
Yeah.
And what are you
I'm
doing?
pointing at the big grassy area.
Oh. Why are you pointing at Ben?
The lawn.
Anyway, we're just gonna hang out. We figure it can transition to chips and salsa at one of the restaurants.
Oh, are we
at
right
some
by,
point.
we're right
Maybe
by
we
the
wanna
root
do
beer
that.
float place.
Oh
There's
yeah,
a root
we
beer float
are.
place?
Really good root beer
Yeah,
floats.
you get to pick your root beer. They have like a billion different root beers, and you pick your root beer, and they make you a root beer
There's
float.
been a lot of talk of tequila
Yeah,
with Phil
it's a
Gonzalez
good
this
time.
morning too,
Really
so-
excited about that.
that amazing candy stores right there where I always get the, speaking of root beer, I always get
Yeah,
the
you
root
do.
beer little,
Stick.
And you can call it a dry goods store. 'cause
Root beer
it's fun. Saying dry goods store feels nice.
There's also,
Okay, Lori.
we talked about ghosts and haunting today. There's the haunted house right there.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do that. Anyway,
Not
it's
do
choose
that.
your own adventure. But we'll meet in that grassy area
Yeah.
and people can do whatever they want. Okay?
We'll be there.
Sounds fun.
We'll be there.
I'm really excited about
Did
it.
you know what? I heard a rumor.
What?
I heard a rumor that Evelyn's gonna be there.
Our Evelyn?
What?
Evie Mace? I'm excited for that.
Okay,
If you would like to purchase some Sojo It All Belongs
Sojo
Pride
merch.
merch, you can do that at store.sojourngrace.com/itallbelongs. And all of our It All Belongs merch is there, as well as some of the fun new Pride designs. And that one
we've seen all
down
of it
there,
in person and it's
mini
all
gendered
good.
mothers. Yeah.
It's
yeah.
really, it's going nutty now. There's like Ben Grace merch. There's Karen just having a day merch. There's
like the
Oh,
wolf
yeah.
in sheep's
Karen's
clothing.
mood merch. Karen's mood. This is where we are.
There's the how we respond to people on the internet who
Karen's been on
Tell
YouTube
us where that
too
we
much
linked
this week.
to.
Shirts, you name it, it's there.
I'm repping old school. So
Yeah, you are repping old school
We
merch.
can't see you.
And then there's the little tiny Birch Church merch. And then if you
before
are
things got
in a
weird.
position where you are able to support this church financially, we invite you to do that at the Joy Box. And that can happen online, sojourngrace.com/donate, or you can Venmo at Sojourn Grace. And give me the focus back. Get it back on me.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Did my inside voice
Look at
come
me,
outside
Kimmy,
there?
look at me.
Yep, sure did. Colby's shadow showed up.
Anyway, if this has been a place that has been meaningful and helpful for you, and or if you believe in it as a place that can be meaningful and helpful for others, we invite you to partner with us in this way, especially as we begin to ramp back up into meeting in person, which should be happening here
Take some dollars really soon.
shortly. So stay tuned for more info on that.
Trying to not look
I'm like, why is Matthew doing the Macaulay Culkin face? No, sure.
All right, that's great. That's the end of the things you have to say, yeah?
I think so.
Okay, great.
And
So
I
we
saw that
are-
someone already did the benediction. So we
All
can-
right, so we're going to follow you today, Paul Lee.
Paulie.
Because you're a child of God.
I was late.
Ben's totally late.
Sorry,
Sorry. Say it.
I'm posting. Because you're a child of God.
Okay, now we can move on. Try again.
Now you do.
And here comes Bridget.
Because
so is everyone
else.
Did did you have something you wanted to add?
I just added the Etsy link in there.
All right,
Oh,
to the Facebookers.
perfect.
All right,
Made it
lovely.
easy for you.
All right, be well.
Love y'all.
We'll see you in
at
a
the
couple
park.
hours if you're able to make it. Otherwise, next Sunday.
Sunday.